not Spanish? Where did you learn French?
I did in year 7 in high school. I did a year of French, and I only know a couple of phrases. So it's obviously bonjour, comment allez-vous, comme ci, comme ça, très bien. And obviously, because of my Italian background, a lot of the pronunciation was easy for me, whereas a lot of other people couldn't get their tongue the right
Trust
way.
me, yeah. You got Italian background from where?
I was born in the north, near Venice, on the mainland.
Oh
I came
no.
to Australia when I was 5.
What brought your parents to Australia? Because Venice is lovely.
Just more opportunity. So in 1972, they packed up, brought me here, thankfully, because now looking back where Italy is at economically, etc., all my cousins are quite envious that we came here, but unfortunately we were the only ones that came here. So no immediate family, just my mum and dad, and then my brother was born here.
Is it nice, like, to live in Australia? Is it a nice life?
Yes, unless you're in lockdowns.
How was it during lockdown for you?
Well, I'm in Victoria, Melbourne, and I don't know if you saw the news, but
No,
we
not
were
much.
probably locked down the most of anyone in the world.
Wow.
The premier of this state was a tad bonkers, and so we were actually locked down for a long, long time. All my colleagues from overseas, I mentioned I work for an international oil company, so all my colleagues in America and Europe and India, they're all like, "My God, what's going on in Australia? It sounds like it's worse than China, in terms of government control." But yeah, no, it was really bad here when we had COVID 4 years ago. So, other than that, it's pretty good. It's pretty good in terms of
Um,
Western country opportunity, etc., etc. It's pretty good.
so I'm so interested in your journey because I mean, it's not random to work in oil, so I'm sure you're quite aware of a lot of things going on in the world. But this is it the reason what brought you to trading? What brought you to trading? Because I mean, you probably had a aha moment or waking up moment when you realized the whole
I
shabam. So how
straight
did
out of
that go?
high school, when I was 18, I got into the computer industry. So my background is IT, but I very quickly realised that I didn't like being in a situation where my income was going to be capped. It doesn't matter how well you progress your career, you're going to hit a ceiling. So 20 years ago, I left IT for about 5 years and I went and traded options on the Australian stock market on the blue chips. Um, and Beknownst to me, trading options is not particularly easy. Most people trade shares first and then they trade options. So I ended up trading options. I ended up teaching the community how to trade options. That led into a public speaking offshore seminar, tax havens, gold, precious metals, resource opportunities, things that you can't talk about onshore. Tax jurisdictions, et cetera, et cetera. So I had this massive learning about 20 years ago that then led me to actually set up an investment company. We bought leases in America of oil and gas and didn't get enough funding. And I found myself after about 5 years of doing that, I had to go back into the IT industry. So for the last
Oh,
15 years, I progressed. It's funny, once you've gone and set up your own business, once you've become entrepreneurial, it's amazing when you go back into the workforce, how quickly you stand out. You just have a
mm.
different mindset. And so the promotions came, opportunities came, but everything I learned back then has still been sitting in my mind, because once your mind is expanded, it never shrinks.
It
So
never
all the things
shrinks.
I learned about markets, finances, the tax havens, it was almost like, I've got to get back to that. I've got to get that information and use it. And I hadn't been using it working for a multi-international. And then a friend of mine, who I play tennis. I've played tennis since I was 11. I still play competitive tennis. He asked
Wow.
me, "What do you know about Bitcoin?" I don't know. It's an online bartering system thing, isn't it? He goes, "No, no, no." And he showed me a crypto.com card and explain to me how you can move into, from the real world into the crypto world and back again. And I went, "Hey, hang on a minute. And that was May of 2022. I've then spent the last 2 years learning about crypto, got onto the CYPRX channel, been watching him for almost a year before I decided, I think I'll do his course. I think it's time to get back into trading, and it'll help me.
I have so much question. Why you didn't stick to options then?
So,
I have loads of questions. I mean,
no,
like,
that's fine.
you have so much knowledge. Where to start? It's not even an interview. It's like, come on, teach me everything.
One of the reasons I love CYPRX is because, and this is not in a condescending manner or anything like that, but because I've got a few years on him, I know what he's saying is true. It's all the mentality, the discipline, everything. It's true. To answer your question, what I learned in trading options, I ended up making a net loss, and I ended up going in a different direction. But what I found was I was very good at intraday trading, not 1 week, 1 month trading. I was very good at the intraday trading. I was very good at getting in at the right time by reading the volumes of the market as to which way they're likely to go intraday. So I was able to get in. Where I didn't have the discipline was getting out.
And not being
So yes, I
greedy.
had the stop loss. Yes, there it is. Yes, I wrote it down. Yeah, but I wouldn't press the return key. I wouldn't make the call to the broker. No, just a little bit more. I think it'll come back. It'll come back. Ah, shit, now it hasn't come back. Damn it. And I learned that that was my weakness. And so when I did the course from CYPRX and I started doing the demo trading, that was the biggest noise in my head is remember your stop losses. Remember that was your weakness. You've got to work on that. So it's getting to know oneself. But I ended up moving on and did some other things after the options trading.
Do you think like your company of option and all the things that all the project that you realized in the past, they wasn't prosper because you didn't have this discipline on when to click
Some of it
exit?
was timing. The global financial crisis hit the year that we were raising funds for the oil and gas. So the timing was horrendous. However, what I've learned in the last 2 years and stuff that we learn in the community and so forth is that I've come to understand the international markets and the international monetary system a hell of a lot better now. That if I had known that information back then, I'd have probably seen a GFC coming. And if I'd seen a GFC coming, I might have either held back and said, look, now's not the time to raise funds. Now's not the time to kick off a company. But in ignorance, you progress.
Well, that lead you to evolve and to know what you like because you want to go back to it, and you run back to it as soon as you find someone who has resonated with you.
Oh, crypto was made for me. Once my friend introduced me to it, because it was IT and finance, I was like a pig in mud. I'm like, this is making sense in so many different directions, and I feel sorry for some people on Twitter and some of these systems because. I feel sorry. Some of them make me angry because some of them speak as if they understand, but they don't have an IT background. They don't have a finance background. And yet they pass all these judgments and comments and get people confused and make stupid comments. And that was one of the things that I loved about CYPRX's channel. And his is the first channel, anyone that I start, because my friend and I have got a group of 23 people in Telegram who we've introduced to crypto, who we are sort of, the shepherds and looking after them and so forth. And they all got started on CYPRX because I have not seen more PDF evidence, factual information, non-blah, blah, blah, FUD stuff on any other channel compared to CYPRX. And then on top of that, with his trading course, it was just all fact. It all made sense. It was all common sense. It was a good approach. And so we've introduced all of them, including recently the 28 Club.
That's really, yes. So you joined the community like how long ago? Like a couple months ago?
So, the 28 Club I joined a month ago. The forex trading, I think it's almost a year, May last year. And when I joined, I just joined for the purpose of cost averaging better. That's the main reason, not for trading. But then what happened in November, and I told CYPRX this, I said, hey, guess what? The universe, I think, is nudging me to go back into trading. He said, why? I said, well, they're going to let me go, but they've given me 4 months before they let me go. That means I've got time to get set. I've got time to get ready. I've got time to do this properly and do it seriously. Then I started to demo trade, really pay attention to the graphs, etc., etc. Before that, it was really, look at where the 70% discount is. I can cost average there, and just looking to improve my long-term bags. But once I got the news from the company that they were letting me go, I sort of looked around, and the universe wants me to go this way again.
Yeah, that's very interesting. How do you feel now going? Because now you're full on, or you have a couple months still? You're full on now.
Full on. As of end of May, full on. And what was funny is that in May, I started to pick up on a few channels about this DeFi. Okay, so I contacted my friend. We talk almost every day. And I said, hey, I think we need to look into this a little bit more, especially now that XRP has their AMM, et cetera, we need to start looking at this. And then virtually the same week was when CYPRX started to talk about DeFi, we're doing a course and all the rest of it. So here I was running virtually in parallel. And so I loved the 28 Club course because, number one, it confirmed almost everything I'd already was doing. It filled in a couple of gaps, but more importantly, I did it all because I wanted to ensure that when I then refer our group to the 28 Club to do the course, I knew it would be comprehensive, because that course, and it should be said, it saved me hundreds of hours of doing my own research and my own mistakes. And now for my group, my God, how much time would I have to spend if I had to train them? Whereas now I can point them to the 28 Club. I go there. In fact, we've got a workshop at the end of July. I originally told people, hey, we're looking at DeFi. Maybe you should look at it. And then about 2 weeks after I was into the course, I updated my message and I said, change of mind. The workshop in July, if you don't do the 28 Club course, it's a prerequisite, don't come.
Wow, you're very inspirational. Have you said this to CYPRX enough? Have you?
I give him little private messages because I know he's doing a great job, and I know it can be hard when I know he takes it to heart when some people aren't following the pattern, or when some people are getting distracted with a $28 cost, or they're getting
Come on.
I can see where he gets the joy when he reads out those messages from people who, hey, guess what? I'm making a couple of $100. I'm being successful. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I absolutely love it.
It's saving so many people's lives. But what I can see is like now you're on a journey where you helping people and you trading for yourself, and you're very satisfied to where you're at. And I think CYPRX is looking. I'm not talking on his name. Is maybe he will see the interview and things will come to his mind, I think. But he's always open to elevate and extend the group, and I'm sure you'll be such a strength because you have a lot of knowledge, a lot of kindness, and you want to help people. You help 23 young guys. This is amazing.
Yeah. And I was watching his channel for a year, I think, before I jumped on to one course. And the one thing I love about CYPRX is that he's actually been, and this isn't easy, he's been very consistent from the first time I started watching him. And that tells you the character of a person, because you cannot be doing this for 2 years and have someone like me watching and not be your true self. Okay, you would pick it up. You'd go, this guy's just trying to make $1. Oh, he's a bit sus. I heard him say this, and then he did that, and he's been like this. And he probably got it from being in the military. That's where he probably got his discipline, right?
Probably. Who knows?
So I love him to death because he's what I believe like a kindred spirit. He's like me from 30 years ago. Except that he's making a far more bigger impact thanks to this technology, the crypto, the market, and the amount of memberships that he has. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I like,
Oh,
I'm Australian, so I like stirring. Yeah. So sometimes I'll stir him about his cowboy hat, or I'll stir him about something else, right? Something completely different so nothing to do with crypto, nothing to do with finances.
do
Or,
you feel
when
like
his daughter
kind of
comes in,
do you feel like you kind of felt like you find like kind of a family or someone that you can relate with in this industry?
you do, Camille. You find that when you've done as much as I have, and I've always been a people person, is that you very quickly can find the genuine people, and you just leave the bullshit artists where they are. Right? You quickly, yeah, I don't need to listen to you. I think I'll be over here. And that's exactly what CYPRX is. He's a genuine person. He's on a genuine mission. He's surrounded by people like you. And it's been very easy for me to come back into an industry that I had left for 20 years. And more importantly, I have to feel comfortable if I'm referring 25 other people, yeah, who we're talking about their finances, potentially their life, depending on what they do with crypto and DeFi and so forth. So, holy mackerel, it's important to me that I refer them to someone who I trust. Now, whether they end up doing anything with the information or not, that's their problem.
Did you
But
have any feedback of your 25 students who tried the course already?
one of them has just started. The others, I'm waiting to see if I get any questions. I'm very I'm not a micromanager. I'm a little bit old school, meaning, hey, you told me you're thirsty. Drink. I showed you where the water is. Drink. Well, why aren't you drinking? I thought you said you were thirsty. Right. So that's why I said to them, don't come to the workshop if you haven't done the course, because everyone needs a certain level of understanding, and that means we'll get more value from the workshop that we do. If you come not knowing anything, you're going to be asking basic questions and so forth. And it's not that I don't mind answering basic questions, but everyone else, if you already come prepared and with a certain amount of information, then we can build on it. If we have to start at zero, guys, how much do you want me to tell you in 3 hours?
Exactly. And you always have someone new coming in. That's what Cypress does. It's like we have a
Yep.
lot of information in this group. It
Yes.
could be overwhelming, it could be stressful, but the
Yep.
information doesn't go anywhere. But you
Yep.
have to go through it because we don't have time. People
Yep.
think we have time. We do not have time anymore. Like things go so fast. In 2 years, DeFi is like, I don't know, I can't even imagine. It's going to be the next world in two
Yeah.
years, next
Yeah. Yeah.
financial
Yeah.
world.
Yep.
And if people don't jump now and say, "Oh, I don't really have time. I don't understand what's AMA mean," like, come on, keep up. And do you really want it or not?
Everyone that I know who's been successful, and everyone who I know who's been unsuccessful, strangely enough, they've both had the same 24 hours of the day.
And the same similar trauma or similar
Yeah.
complication during the days or emotional
Life,
outbursts.
life in general does not seem to be conducive to success. It seems to always trip you up. It seems to always put something in front of you. And I've said this to some people. I said, look, if you have to sit down with a timesheet and you have to just jot down what you do every day, every half an hour to an hour, like a lawyer, write down everything that you've done. At the end of the week, have a look. So you've done sleep. Have you done
Eat.
any exercise? You've
Mhm.
definitely done some work. Everyone does work, yeah, 40, 50 hours a week to earn a bloody dollar. Have a look at where you're spending your time. Is the rest of it sitting on the couch watching TV? Is the rest of it just doing something? So of all those things, other than trading your time for a dollar, where did you spend some time looking to improve yourself, looking to improve your finances? Did you do a course? Did you do an audio book? Did you speak to a friend? Did you learn a new concept? What did you do? Just have a look at the timesheet, and it'll very quickly tell you you're either on the 95% page, which is we just do the same as we do every day,
And
or
that's
you're
called
on the
insanity.
5% page where no, you've had a new conversation, you've learned something new, you've talked to someone else, you've learned about an investment, or even in sport, I learned how to hit a different shot on my forehand. Right? Even in sport, you want to be successful in sport. What are you going to do? Keep doing the same stuff you've always done? You're not going to improve. You've got to
Exactly.
be outside your comfort zone.
How do you improve yourself? Because you have quite of a journey behind. But how do you teach your student how to improve themselves as a human? Because you cannot make money if you're not. I mean, you can make money if you're an evil person, but you have to have a certain level of knowledge and
Yeah,
understanding of the world.
I like sleeping well at night. So no, there's a saying that I've actually used with the group, because sometimes the group is a little bit shy. Sometimes they're probably stuck in a rut. That quite a few of them, what they've done is, let's say they might have spent $10,000. They've bought some crypto, and now they're like, and they're just sitting there waiting.
Looking
And
every day.
I'm like, well, okay, so what if it does multiply by 1,000? What are you then going to do? How much of it are you going to sell? How much of it do you want to sell? How much of it do you want to put in DeFi? What income are you looking to earn? Are you looking to give away your job? So where's your plan? What about tax benefits? Should you continue living in Australia? We're getting taxed through the nose over here, just like every other Western country is, right? I go, well, if you don't have answers to this, you should be learning about this. If you're going to create wealth, you better learn how to bloody manage it, or you know what? It's going to go straight away and you'll lose it again.
Exactly.
So the saying that I've used with them, though, is, guys, I can't steer a parked car.
Yeah.
That's the saying.
Yeah.
Right?
But
Meaning you need to move, you need to get going, and then we can have discussions about what could you do, what else do you need. I can make a referral, but then we're in motion.
A great things to lead them to the CYPRX, because he has this kick in the ass that he gave a bit to people, and
I'm always
and
smiling when he does that. To be honest, God bless him. God bless him. He probably doesn't do it often enough.
Yeah, but it's not a mom in a way, and it could be frustrated for him because he wants to move fast with. I mean, but people has to carry on with him, and yeah, sometimes you want to shake the tree, but.
And that's the trouble. Sorry, I shouldn't say the trouble. That's the challenge when you're dealing with a group of people, is that the dynamics are going to be no different than the 95 and the 5 that we talked about. Is that if you've got a group of 50 people, they're not all going to move at the same speed. They're not all going to absorb at the same speed. Some might come in with more life damage than others. Yeah. So the true test of a mentor, apart from patience, which is not something I'm good at, is that you have to learn to meet people at their level. And that can be really hard for a go-getter. And CYPRX is a go-getter, right? And so it's really difficult because they almost feel like, come on, you're holding me back. Will you get moving, please? But unfortunately, that person is where they are, and you have to meet them at that level.
And that's the role of a mentor, is to
that's
make
the role of the mentor. So my group, our group, mine and my mate Reese, our group of 23, sometimes he'll come to me, he goes, do you think they're ever going to do anything? And I'll go, in time, mate, in time. You got to understand that where you and I are mentally is not where they are mentally. Some of them have been doing what they've been doing for 40 years, Camille. You want to talk about a bad habit. If you've got a bad habit that's 40 years old, how long is it going to take you to snap out of it? Unless there's a disaster, right? It's going to take you a while.
Unless it's life or death. Yeah, unless it's life or death. Exactly. But it's getting to a point where it's not life or death, but you better get on this train.
Yeah.
You better get on this train. What's your definition of success for you?
Being able to do what you want, when you want, how you want.
That's pretty good.
And, that could be that you want to go off and do a 3-year university course because you love the topic of astrology. It could be that my wife and I at the moment, we're actually looking at, given what we're expecting out of the market, we've already started tax planning. And in Australia, any income we make can go up to as high as 49 cents in the dollar. So you can imagine if we start taking too much money out of our investments, we're going to get charged 49 cents in the dollar. Okay. So we've already started looking at, well, how can we perhaps tax plan? We're looking at potentially moving to Italy. We're looking at how we can reacquire my citizenship. We're looking at how the portfolio would need to be structured both here and overseas so that my two sons when we're no longer around, can take over. They're both learning this stuff, by the way. I wish I knew this at 17, 18, but they're both learning this stuff as we
How
speak.
smart. Do you have any knowledge other than your own research for your own situation about tax? Because I think in the community they're trying to educate the
Okay.
students about tax, and so I don't know if you followed the mentor called Mr. Mann. He's quite well aware on
No. Okay.
Web3 taxes.
Yep.
Any question, maybe direct yourself to him. And if you know
Okay.
anything that the group could benefit, because I think it's a stress. It's a big question that starts coming because we're not 2 or 3 years ago, right? Bull run is gonna somehow start coming.
Yeah.
DeFi
Yep.
is making us money at the minute.
Yep.
So I am very aware and worried about tax, and I have no
And well,
knowledge,
if you
and I
looked
don't
at
know
it,
where to start.
if you look at it from a business perspective, that's the biggest expense for most people is tax.
Mm,
It's the biggest expense.
mm.
I've got a friend who went to Singapore to work. I think they get charged, I think it's 9 or 11% tax, not 49. It only took her 3 years to establish her and her family because she wasn't giving half of it back to the government. She was able to reinvest it and do things. And it only took 3 years. So you can imagine if you can reduce or remove one or the other, if you can reduce your taxes, it's your biggest expense. A lot of people are more concerned about how can I make an extra $50, $100 a week. But if you can reduce your taxes by 5, 10, 15%, that's effectively better than
Great.
making an extra $50, $100 a week.
And that's
So
why I think
we're doing all of that. And back to your question about success is that that's part of that structure of being able to live the way we want to live, be able to go where we want to go, pay legally the minimal amount of tax, and just make decisions of holidays, help the kids out, get established, etc., etc.
well, you have this like what makes you help other people then? Because you don't have to have those 25 kids. It's a bit of a something that you put on you that you're proud of.
Part of it, it's funny because my 17-year-old son, yesterday, he said to me that he was sharing DeFi with a couple of his friends. Okay, 17. Now I said to him, I go, what made you share it? He goes, oh, I don't know. And I said, let me ask you something. I said, would it bother you if you became financially successful and you did really well out of DeFi? Would it bother you that you never mentioned it to your friends? And he goes, yeah. And I said, that's me. The reason that I've told everyone who I care about crypto, number one, is because I would feel guilty if I took advantage of the opportunity and I didn't tell anybody else. Who the hell are you supposed to share a good opportunity with if it's not your friends and your family, right? So I do it for that reason. And I'll be honest with you, the other part is obviously my personality. I am a people person, so I do like the interaction and everyone, that sort of team spirit and everyone running in the same direction.
I
And
like that.
sometimes they're there to support you. Sometimes they're just there everyone's doing high fives because you got something right. But it was interesting that my son fundamentally had that same issue, that we wouldn't sleep well at night if we knew of an opportunity and we kept it to ourselves.
I mean, even if you get successful I mean, we all have a definition of success, but if you get wealthy, if you're by
Mm.
yourself, it's very boring. It's very sad. You just want
Yep.
your people around you to want to enjoy life as you do.
Yep.
How do
But you know
you?
what? You know
Oh yeah,
what the
go on.
hardest thing about what the opposite side of that coin is, what is really, 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 really tough is to watch the ones that you're going to end up leaving behind because they don't jump on board.
That was kind of
That's
the
tough.
next question.
That's tough.
Have you, because you've been changing situation in your life quite often, did you had to get rid of a lot of people, and did your wife always supported you?
Yeah, definitely. Without her, we've um, we've always been a team when it comes to everything that we do, especially finances. I mean, she works in IT as well, so she earns as much money as me. So it's we've always she's come from being a little bit more property oriented, whereas I've lent more towards stock markets and the finance world. But no, and of course she's from IT as well. So crypto, thankfully, was a very simple conversation to have between husband and wife. But
How
yeah,
lovely.
what happens is that you as you get onto new opportunities, you end up forming new communities, because at the end of the day, those people are relevant for whatever it is that you're going through at that point in life. When I change clubs to play tennis, I end up forming a new group of people that I practice with, that I play competitions with. It's not that different to any other situation. The ones that hurt the most are the family, because it doesn't matter where you go and what you do, the family stays the same. So when your brother-in-law or when your cousin or whoever, when they had the opportunity, you told them, and they didn't even look, they didn't even investigate, Camille. It's like
I
you
know.
just want to grab them and just shake them. It's
You
like,
know what? You know
seriously.
what? Without telling my family members, I put a ground for each of us in XRP. Right, it's not much, but when the bull run's gonna come, I don't mind what's the ground of XRP is gonna be worth to me, because I have my all of them, all my bags. So as soon as the bull run hit, I'm gonna explain to them, this
Yep.
money is for you. I invested it for you because you are not capable of doing it, and I'm not gonna let you go down. I'm still gonna save you, and you'll thank me later. But I
Yep.
invest for my family without them knowing, for sure.
Yeah, good. I've done a little bit of that for the nephew and nieces.
Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah,
young
yeah,
ones, the
yeah.
youngsters at least.
But I suspect that my son will probably end up chewing their ears off anyway. So I think my nephews and nieces will be fine, because I think my sons will end up sorting them out, because
That's,
they'll be earning some income from DeFi. They've already invested in XRP themselves. And the other thing I did, Camille, with this 2-year journey is that I started to, the BIS, the IMF, the banks, all of that what I call that context. Because a lot of people, when they think of crypto, I start with the context of the banks, the monetary system, the reserve currency of the world. Yeah.
you had this knowledge before.
Why is crypto? What's the context as to where crypto is going to work? This is why crypto is going to work. Look what's up. You've got to understand what's going on in the world. All of that stuff I've learned in the last 2 years. So what I've been doing is I came up with a 3-part session that I've been having with my eldest son and his friends, my youngest, and certain family members and certain people in that group that I mentioned before. And we've sat down, and I basically, on a whiteboard, I
Took them
taught them
through
about the
crypto.
money system, about understanding what's privately, what's not, what's privately owned, about the Rothschilds, about the reserve currency, about BRICS. And then, of
I love
course,
it.
hey, here's crypto. This is where crypto fits, right? It's not just this fad. There's certain crypto that is fundamental to what is going on. You've got to pay attention, folks.
If you do Zoom calls, do you so you got your
No,
family
face to
sitting
face,
down, but like,
face to face.
if you Zoom call it, I'll link because I'm in London, so I would not come to you, but
Uh,
I would love to follow. That's very, you got a lot of knowledge to bring around. I would love you to be able to leverage the CYPRX community to be able to bring your knowledge in. It will benefit so much people. And
if there's, it goes without saying, if there's pockets of knowledge or pockets of expertise that CYPRX needs in the community, and I've never had an in-depth conversation like this with him, so he doesn't know what he doesn't know, if I can
exactly,
put it that
that's
way.
why this
Um,
is going to wake him
yeah,
up. I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
do
yeah.
you do you? Is I mean, that's going to be more conversation that you will have with someone a bit more expert. But as you were working in the oil industry, have you seen anything? I'm not going to say dodgy or anything, but related to crypto, like they're gonna get big,
Not
not
directly.
bricks, no dollar, American dollar, but like crypto.
No, not directly. No, I think I think similar to banks. If the oil industry is doing anything from the finance perspective in crypto, they're keeping it to themselves, and us in
Mm,
IT, we wouldn't we wouldn't know what they're doing.
mm.
We were obviously affected with Russia invading Ukraine. We had to pull out of Russia, so we had to pull out data. We had to encrypt the data. We basically, it's almost like everybody just ran out of the building, and just left everything there for the Russians to take over.
And you have to clean everything up.
Yeah. But what's interesting to your point though is that I actually rang the gold bullion company that I interact with, and I said to them, I said, "Hey," I spoke to the branch manager, and I said, I want to ask you a question. I know it's a bit weird, but would you be able to put me in touch with your general manager, director, or head of IT, or even the CFO for this reason?" And I went on to explain, have they considered taking crypto directly for the purchasing of gold and silver? Because the banks are making it very difficult for us to move money around. And there's been examples where people who want to move large amounts of money just to purchase gold, the bank has given them a hard time. So I thought, well, instead of going from crypto to fiat, then fiat to the gold, why don't you just accept? And you can translate it to fiat within a couple of seconds if that's what you want to do, but you're removing an obstacle for your customer.
Yeah, why would they do it?
And they just looked at me like that. They had no clue what the hell I was saying. No clue. No.
But you know, it's insane. It's even
That's how
actually,
early we are, that they have got no idea what's coming. And they go, what do you mean the bank's making it hard? I go, what? You're in the gold industry and you don't understand that the banks are making it hard to leave the money, to get money out of the banking system, even to go buy gold and silver. The banks would prefer us not to.
yeah, because they'd rather
No,
have it for them.
no.
Like,
What do you mean? Oh, we wouldn't get involved in something as risky as crypto. I go, you'd be at worst, you'd be exposed for like 3 seconds, and you'd still get your money. That's why I want to come in and
yeah,
talk to you guys. And they didn't want to have a meeting.
wow.
Just
Is that I
straight
interviewed
over their head.
someone. His friend was working in JP Morgan, had no clue about DeFi. No clue. One of the
Yeah.
biggest banks, so I don't know what level he was in the bank, right? But
Yep.
no clue about it.
I
So
went to Cyprus, as mentioned, Westpac. Westpac is
okay.
one of the banks in Australia.
Yeah.
It's one of the main four. And I went in to see the branch manager. I was doing some things, and I said to her, I said, "Elizabeth, can I ask you a question?" I said, what do you know about crypto?" And she goes, "That's funny you should ask me, because my son's involved. He's doing some stuff around crypto and so forth." I said, "But in the bank, like within the bank,
What's
have
going
there
on?
been any memos? Does XRP, Ripple,
Bitcoin?
but does any of that?" No. What do you mean? I go, "You do realize that Westpac has partnered with Ripple?" She goes, "No. What does Ripple do?" I'm like, "That's the branch manager."
So you can
See?
imagine normal people, like
Yeah,
who doesn't work in a bank or doesn't work in any
absolutely.
institutional financial government.
Yep.
God bless them soul.
I've actually reached out to a friend of mine who she's quite high up in a consulting company, and I had a lunch with her the other day, and I actually said to her, for two reasons. I said, 13 years ago when we first met, I said at that time, cloud was the new buzzword, the new thing that IT had. And she goes, "Yeah, I remember that." And I said, "And you remember how much money we made consulting on cloud?" And she goes, "Yeah. And I said, "Well, you do realize what the current opportunity is, don't you?" She goes, "No, what do you mean?" I went, "Crypto." She goes, "What do you mean?" And I said, "There's
Oh, that's
certain
good.
cryptos that are rewiring the entire financial system of the globe." I said, "You guys could be making a fortune being the first to start consulting in crypto with your customers, just the same way we used to do it 13 years ago for cloud to customers." I go, "You guys you should understand what's going on in the crypto world. If you don't have someone inside your company, I'm happy to come and do a little seminar, a little briefing, something to get them a little educated." But and then she said to me, "We are actually looking at where should we go next for the longevity of the company? What
Well,
streams
because
should we develop?" And I said, "Distributed ledger technology, DLT. You've got to have
DLT,
DLT.
DLT,
You
DLT.
do
Let's
not have DLT in amongst everything else." I said, "You guys are fundamentally failing on the next biggest thing that's going to go in
yeah,
IT."
and any companies who doesn't carry on with DLT Web3 technology, they're
Mm,
gone. They are gone.
yes.
They're
Yeah.
extinguished, finished.
And I
They
used that company of the gold bullion. I said, there's a classic where wouldn't you like to be able to go to your customers and say, hey, we've seen something on the horizon. Now, we know it's like here, but to them, we've seen something on the horizon that we think might interest you. How do you currently do your finances? You move a fair bit of money, you sell overseas, you've got warehouses overseas, you move stock overseas. How do you deal with the currency? Who do you Well, could you imagine the conversation that you could have as a consultant? Imagine the customer. They'd be like, you're telling me I can
completely
save how
not.
much money?
Yeah.
So there's a huge consulting opportunity. So I just dropped that in her lap and I said, let me know. I'm not looking to get back in IT, but if you need a hand, even if you need me to come in maybe for 6 months and set up the department and then I'll give it to someone else, that's fine. Let me know. I said, but you need to pay attention because this is the same as it was with cloud 13 years ago.
I'm trying to do the
So,
same with my dad. He just retired, but he's financial director of a big European branch
yep,
called Zodiac.
yep,
And he just got retired, and he still want to carry on working for different companies to help them uh, achieving better goal in the future. And I told him, I was like, if you don't jump into crypto, you're gonna just lose faith. You're not gonna go nowhere. You're an older man with an older mentality of the financial system. Those new competition, they're like international competitors. They're all on the one market now. It's not just
yeah,
like European market or Chinese market. It's one worldwide market. If you don't have something to connect them all instantly,
yep,
your project is not going to work. And
yep.
so now slowly is getting interested, is asking me question how crypto works. But it's very, like you say, it's very difficult to change the 70 years old of mindsets.
Humans are very good at getting into a rut. They're also very good at forming a paradigm. What we're not very good at as a species, what we're not very good at is we're not very good at breaking that paradigm. We're not very good at thinking about how things could be, might be, as opposed to how they are. And
Are
even
they?
with my friends, when I've gone back and I've said, 10 years ago, what'd your phone look like? 10 years ago, how did you used to play PlayStation? You bought a disc, you inserted the disc. Now it's all done online. I said, 10 years ago, how fast was the internet? How much speed? Right? And what's funny is that, and until you do that to people, they go,
Huh.
oh, wow, actually, yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? Oh my God, look at the progression. Okay, so now that I've got you to here, can you understand where we're going?
They don't have this
Oh,
critical thinking.
okay.
Yeah.
Because it happens so slowly in someone's life, they don't notice the change until it's kind of like if you haven't
It's
seen a
true.
person for 6 months and they've lost weight. As soon as you see them, you go, "Wow, look at you!" But the people around that person, they go, "Oh yeah, you have," because it's been happening
Yeah.
slowly. They
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
see it.
It's exactly that. What would you say is very interesting? What would you say to someone who is looking to get involved into crypto, who is looking to get involved into trading but doesn't know where to start? Because you probably face that a lot. So if we can spread your knowledge a little bit.
The first place I normally start when someone says anything like that to me is why? Why?
Why would you want to get involved?
Why are you going to get out of your comfort zone? Because you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. Why are you going to start learning something new? Because you're going to have to learn something new. Why are you going to be frustrated that you feel like a beginner? Yeah, adults don't like feeling like a beginner, Camille.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all those things we went through as kids when you were learning something new and you felt stupid. People
Mm-hmm.
don't like feeling that way, right? So I first ask why, and then if they give me a good answer, then it's straight away. What sort of goals are you talking about? If for instance they said to me, well, look, in 3 years I'd like to stop work. I'd like to be able to do that full time. Then the first thing I would do if it was trading, first thing I'd do now is introduce them to the CYPRX course,
Oh,
right? And
really?
I'd say,
Noisy
well,
me.
go do forex. Go learn this guy. This guy's great methodology. I've been watching him for 2 years, and I know that his system works. I know his system can be followed. I know his system is repeatable. And as long as you're going to dedicate and be committed to that why that you've just told me, you'll be fine. Go do that course, and then we'll just be able to talk about answers and questions and understanding paradigms and maybe putting a different example so they understand what's being discussed. That's another thing that mentors and
And and,
teachers.
and, and wake up as well, because you have to wake up people socially. as well,
Yep.
because there's a
Yeah.
lot of belief system who has to be shaken as well if you want to understand how trading works.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah,
Interesting.
it normally starts always with the why. I've got a very dear friend at the moment who's stuck. His wife's not stuck, but he is stuck. And so it's a tough conversation because she's ready to go. He's not.
How right? She's ready to
Yeah.
go into the course and is not 100%
Oh,
convinced
just into crypto. Just into crypto. Just into
already.
crypto. He's stuck. He's stuck. He's used to earning money a certain way. And one thing I realized there is that maybe I'm too close. So that's why I got my friend
To
Reese.
take care, yeah.
In the workshops that we've done, I've made sure that he talks, not just me, because my friends, it's like if you often don't listen to your parents, but then when a stranger tells you the same thing that your parents have been telling you, you go, oh wow, and you go, are you kidding me? I've been telling you that. Well, it's the same with friends sometimes. So I make sure that we both talk so that his friends that he's introduced will probably listen to me,
And
and
vice
my
versa.
friends who I've introduced will probably listen to him. And hopefully we can nudge them and move them forward that way. But it really comes down to the why. I think you
Yeah.
asked me a little
I
while
think,
ago
yeah,
about
everyone needs to have it. Yeah,
why
if you
I've
don't
been.
have a sorry, go on.
No, you.
Sorry, if you don't have a strong why, you won't go for it. Or you can
No.
build your why throughout the journey, but because the why will change. The why will change.
Mm,
But
mm.
at the beginning is making just money, and then after it goes beyond just making money.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
My
important.
one of my biggest drivers has always been like in my DNA, efficiency and effectiveness just seem to be inbred. Whether that's working out processes at work, whether that's doing things in life, whether it's being on the tennis court, working the shorter angles because that's the most effective way of winning a point. The part of
Other than
that
that,
is this inherent desire to making sure that when I finally go, do you know Leighton Hewitt? Do you know who
no,
that is?
no, no.
Leighton Hewitt is an Australian tennis player who reached number one. He didn't have any big shots. He just had a huge heart, and he was always 120%. He was the guy before Dimonor. Dimonor is the
Okay,
Australian
okay.
player now. Leighton Hewitt was the one before. I want to leave my life the same way that Leighton left tennis.
Mm.
He maximized all of his potential that he
And
had.
he inspired people along the way.
And he left with his head held up, knowing that he had given it all he could, and whatever the results were. But he gave it all he could. I've got maybe even a fear that when I leave, that I've left a little bit in the tank. That'll bother
Well,
me.
we're gonna Cypress gonna watch this interview because he reviews everything first. I'm pretty
So
sure
I get the blessing from the Pope.
you will get the blessing. No, no, don't compare Cypress to the Pope. The Pope is evil. Cypress
No
is nice.
insult, no insult meant.
But yeah, no, I think he's gonna, because from what I understood, he's really willing to get Cypress at a faster speed. Like he wants to grow, he wants to grow, he wants to grow. That's the goal in life. And members like yourself are exactly what I think he needs to learn on certain aspects or complete
Be
his
happy to.
knowledge or I don't know, but just the more you share,
Or
the more
even
it
just
multiplies.
sometimes it's good to have
Yeah,
someone that you can bounce things off,
exactly.
and then it's like the old 1+1 = 3, not 1+1 = 2. It can
Hmm.
even be like that, and that's why I have Reese. He's the one that introduced me to crypto. We talk every day, and we figure things out because
Exactly,
of
by
the
sharing.
interaction that we have.
Sharing is multiplication. So if you want to carry on helping people, I'm gonna help you trying to share as much as possible within the
Oh, I'll be happy
community.
to. Thank you. No, that'd be lovely.
I would
And
love to.
I wanted to say before I forget, I actually wanted to say thank you to you because the amount of time that you're putting in, talking
Oh,
to all these people and so forth, right? That should not be underestimated. It takes a lot of effort. I'm sure you've got a life. You could be doing other things, right? So I just wanted to, on behalf of the community and
oh, thanks.
kind of in a weird way on behalf of CYPRX, although I'm sure he tells you plenty of times, right? Thank you very much for doing all of this.
Oh, thank you. Because you know what? It's I don't know how I looked to you right now. Well, let me put it in another way. You have a lot of experience, and I never want to feel stupid. I want to bring value, so I always have to learn a little bit more before the interview to know. And I never know who is going to show up. I don't know
No,
if
no.
you're 45 or 12 or 10
No,
or
you've done
21.
really well. It's a skill that it's a skill you obviously have that into not in well, yeah, this is more of a friendly chat, but the
Yeah.
interaction, being able to guide the conversation, being able to get information from people, that's a skill. And I've been watching some of your videos, even the ones where you say one thing and then there's nothing for 5 minutes and the other person's talking. That's because of you. That's not because of them, right? Because you're a good listener, which allows the person to talk. And that's a skill. That's a
Well, that's
skill
how I learn, by listening. So I have a lot to learn from you, and I think we all have a lot to learn from each
from each
other.
other, from each
What
other.
would you say? You know, I like to finish on that because I know it helps them. What would you say to the mentors or to Cypress since you joined? What would you say to them?
Just keep doing what they have been doing, um, irrespective of the moments that they are going to feel discouraged, they are going to feel frustrated, they are going to feel like they just want to smack someone over the back of the head to wake them up. Some of the bullshit that Cyprus puts up with on the X space through just ignorant people. I'm sorry, that's just what they are, right? No one that has ever reached any level of success, okay, would ever speak to Cyprus the way that I've seen some of the people speak, right? And
It's
if people
heartbreaking.
and if people can't understand the value that he's providing, then don't blame Cyprus. Just leave, quite frankly, because if you do a conversion to Australian dollars, the 28 club is worth about $42 Australian.
In,
Okay,
in pounds, it's like 20, 21 pounds. I'm like,
that's about 6 coffees these days, right? That's 6 coffees, and it saved me. I estimated from my consulting days, right? I used to charge $150 an hour. Okay, so if Cyprus has saved 100 hours of my time, and I normally charge 150 an hour, you figure out the value. And then on top of that, if I don't have to spend that time educating my group, so for $40 a month, I've probably saved $10,000.
it's insane. And you help so many young person joining in,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's just beautiful. I want to see you
No, I
more.
just I just encourage them to keep doing it.
Oh,
Sometimes I do have a laugh when I've got a Mr. Aquaman, a guy with a Spider-Man mask on, and then Cypress, who I love dearly. But coming from my background, you can imagine when I say to someone, "Hey, I want to introduce you to my mentor. He's a forex expert." Blah blah blah, and they're thinking, "Oh, must be a Goldman Sachs, maybe a bit of grey hair, glasses, maybe a tie and a shirt." And, and then you get Cyprus, all buffed up and I'm
and
like,
you got Spider-Man coming in Aquaman.
and you know what I say to them,
I love
Camille?
it.
I say to them, I go, this is your test whether I'm actually prepared to work with you. And they go, well, excuse me, what do you mean? I go, I want to know whether you're going to get totally distracted by the optics or whether you're going to pay attention to what's coming out of their mouths. And if you're too busy with the optics, go find
You,
someone else.
yeah,
Okay, but if
we
you
can't
want the
work.
information, shut up and listen. Right? So, but I do laugh sometimes when I'm sitting there and I'm thinking we're talking. I mean, Camille, some of the stuff we talk about, only 3% of the population on Earth knows and understands, right? So when I'm sometimes thinking, oh, that's really good information. Yes, that bolt's in there, and we'll have to do this. And then I look up and I'm thinking, yeah, that's not the three faces I think I was expecting if you'd asked me. Um, but I love it. I love it
I
because
love it.
I've
I
never
love
been pretentious. I've always, the Marco at home is the Marco that came to work. Same person. Whereas
I love
at work, you get a lot of people that are,
yeah.
like, so I love that because it's just down to earth and you're dealing with wholesome people who are just trying to do their best. They've got lots to share and their information is important. Don't get distracted by your own prejudices, your own bias. That's so easy, and then you're going to miss out on some really, really important information.
And you're gonna regret it when you'll see where we're going to. Oh, it was so refreshing talking to you. I hope it's not gonna
Wow,
be the last talk. I really enjoy you, you know?
I was looking forward to it. I really was. And thank you for making it a little bit later. That
Oh,
somehow I must have done something right, and I got asked out on a date tonight. So I thought I'd better take it. So thank you
when you
for
texted me like your
adjusting
wife is bringing you to restaurant, I was like, hold on, take your
that.
time. It's Sunday. It's
Doesn't
12.
happen often.
I got time. It's afternoon. Don't
I
worry.
know, but your time is important too, and I didn't want to muck you around on a Sunday afternoon. You waiting for me when you could have been doing something else. So I'm glad it worked out. But
That's
I
fine.
loved this. I absolutely loved it.
I enjoyed it. And no, thank you so much for your time. Please share a little comment on the group chat because I want more people to interact with each other and to know each other's. I think it's very important. And
I
then
think this will make it far easier because people will have seen and heard each other, whereas on the chat it's just reading comments. So I think this will foster a lot more interaction from the members.
yeah, and I'm really happy to put a face on each of you logo
Likewise.
behind your your Discord profile. So
No,
I
sure.
will recreate another chat where you're gonna be invited. We're gonna do I don't know
Sure.
how many people. We're gonna create something.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I'm glad for all the info you gave me. Thank you so much for your
No,
time.
very much appreciated. And thank you for your time.
I appreciate it. Have a great
Take care.
evening. Have a great evening.
Evening. Yes.
Yeah.
I've got a
Okay.
few more videos. I need to catch up on some of the videos from Friday that I haven't looked at yet.
Here we go. Same. I've got my homework coming up.
All right. You take care. Stay safe.
Bye bye. See
Bye
you.
bye.